Hey guys, Lamar here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the new Amazon PPC setup strategy. This is going to be a full tutorial specifically for beginners, but even if you are an experienced seller and you might be looking to mix up the way that you're kind of doing your PPC strategy, or you're looking for other alternatives, or you just want to test out something new, see if you can get better results, this video is going to be for you. I'm just going to be talking about how to set up the PPC campaigns in today's video. And if you're looking on optimization strategies and other tactics, more advanced tactics, that's going to be coming down the line in later videos. So make sure you guys have clicked that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up on this video if you're getting value. So let's jump in here to the new Amazon PPC setup tutorial for beginners. If you guys don't know, my name's Lamar and I'm a 7-figure Amazon FBA seller. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Amazon PPC. I've experimented with lots of different strategies out there on Amazon PPC, and I've kind of narrowed it down to what I think works the best for me. I'm here providing videos for you guys so that you can then go out and crush it on Amazon FBA for yourself. I'm providing those tips, those tricks, those strategies so that you can build your e-commerce empire just like I have done in myself. Before we jump into today's video, I did just want to take some general thoughts here, or point out some general thoughts about Amazon PPC. Specifically, if you're a new Amazon FBA seller, maybe you haven't set up your first campaign yet, and you're looking at this giant, enormous, like mammoth of a beast here, and you're thinking, how am I going to wrap my head and understand Amazon PPC? I know exactly how you feel. I felt like that before, and what I've found is that it's not actually that hard. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking it down. I'm going to be showing you step by step just how to go about that setup process, make it super easy, super simple. So the first point here that I'm trying to make is that it's not hard, and I'm going to be explaining to you like very simply. The next point that I want to make here is that we're going to be working in uncertainty. And what I mean by that is, if you start to have that feeling of, I'm not able, or I don't know 100% certainty that I'm making this decision, or I feel nervous about making this decision, or I feel like I don't have enough information to make this decision, as we start to either build or optimize our campaigns, that feeling is completely normal. Even to this day, I still have uncertainty about the decisions that I'm making, especially when it comes to Amazon PPC. In fact, I'm just going to be honest with you, nobody out there in this space has the ability to make 100% certain decisions on Amazon PPC. It's just not possible. We're all going to be working with only about 60-70% available information, and then you basically just need to make a decision with the available information that you have. So if you feel like you're working on uncertainty and you feel like you don't know, that feeling is just common, and that's purely the point that I'm trying to make here now. The last point on my general thoughts is that you really don't need fancy software, especially if you only have a couple of products, or you're only launching your first 1 or 2 products on Amazon. You don't need fancy software to help you optimize Amazon PPC campaigns. I've been very successful with just using Excel and optimizing my PPC campaigns. Now, I have experimented with some software programs, and in future videos, I will be talking or doing reviews on PPC software. So if you are interested in that, or you just want to, keep in touch with the available softwares out there and my thoughts on it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And like I said, give me a thumbs up on this video. Let's talk about PPC Launch Objectives. So like I said, this video is geared towards, setting up a PPC campaign for a new product. So generally speaking, that means that we're launching a product on Amazon. So we're going to have some launch objectives. The launch objectives for your PPC campaigns is to basically drive about 50 to 100 sessions a day to your listing. That's kind of where I set my, baseline goal for a new product launch. Now, obviously, every category is different. Some categories are smaller, some categories are larger, but really you want to be getting at least, 50 to 100 sessions a day to your listing through Amazon PPC. The next thing to understand is that your PPC helps drive your organic rank on Amazon. So as you start to drive sales through your ads, and as people start to, purchase your product after clicking on your ad, that's going to help boost your organic rank. Amazon likes sales. They like to display and give higher ranking to products that sell and that people want. So naturally speaking, when you drive sales through your Amazon PPC, your organic rank is going to increase. The next point that I want to make is that about 15 to 30% of your sales should eventually be coming through Amazon PPC. Okay, I think this is a good baseline. Here again, it's a give and take. Sometimes it can be a little bit more, sometimes it can be less. Really just depends on your strategy and kind of where you are in the launch process, and your overall branding goals, how competitive the category is. There's a lot of different tactics and kind of wiggle room, to say the least, here with just how much sales should be coming through PPC. But generally speaking, 15 to 30% is a healthy amount. And if you strive for that, I would say that that's a pretty reasonable goal. And the last point that I want to make here on the launch objectives is to establish campaign history. So Amazon is all about history, whether that's your product listing or it's Amazon PPC. They like history. So the idea here is to set up a campaign and get it going, and then optimize that campaign and kind of let it go in cruise control after that point. We don't want to, or we don't really need to be constantly tweaking and constantly trying to fiddle with that campaign once we get it set up and running and we're happy with its performance. And that's because that campaign is going to build and maintain history. We just don't need to touch something that's working well. So as I've been saying, in this video, we're going to be talking all about just setting that campaign up so that you can build history with Amazon, and so that they reward you for building a working, profitable, optimized campaign. The next thing that I want to talk about are just some important metrics. So if this is the first time that you're watching an Amazon PPC, tutorial here, I'm going to cover the basic metrics that you need to be familiar with, and just some brief definitions, my own definitions, just to kind of help you understand what's important when you're looking at Amazon PPC metrics. The first one is budget. Okay, when you're setting your budget, you're going to have a daily budget. This is purely just the amount of money that you want to spend when you're setting up your Amazon PPC campaign. Normally, I start with a $30 to $50 PPC budget per day when I'm launching a new product. The next important metric here to cover is bid. So bid is the actual bid or dollar amount that we're going to set on a keyword basis. Okay, so we are going to start to add in keywords to our campaign. We're going to, target specific keywords on Amazon that buyers are searching, and we need to apply a specific bid to that keyword so that we increase our chances of winning the auction for that specific keyword, and then having Amazon display our ad where we want it to. So we're going to be talking a lot about bids, more specifically when we go to optimize campaigns. The The next important metric is spend. So spend is the amount of money that you've spent within the given time range. So if you're looking at the last 7 days, it's going to be the amount of money that you spent over the last 7 days. Impressions are simply just the amount of times that the ad has been viewed or has loaded on the search page results. Clicks are the number of individual users that have actually clicked on your ad. Sales is going to be the dollar amount of revenue generated through the ad. So after a user clicks on that ad and makes a purchase of your product, what is the dollar figure? What is the revenue that came through because of that ad? Next, orders. So these are going to be the unique orders that were driven through your ad set. And the difference between sales and orders is that sales is revenue or dollar, and order is a absolute number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. The next metric that I want to talk about here is a break-even ACost. Now, the ACost in Amazon's terms is an advertising cost of sale. Now, if this is new information for you, it's going to take a little bit of time to understand this point, okay? So I've made over here a profitability matrix just to help you understand ACost. And I think we should talk about this first, which again, advertising cost of sale. Simply put, this means spend divided by sales represented as a percentage. Okay, and it's just a way to evaluate the performance of the campaigns. That's all it is. It's just a metric that helps you tell whether the campaign is performing well or not. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because we want to be building profitable campaigns, and we need specific metrics that help us evaluate the performance. So the next thing that will help you evaluate the performance as you start to generate an ACost and you start to see this number coming back in your campaigns is you need to determine whether the ACost is good or not for your specific product. And the only way to really tell that is if you build what I consider, or what I term here, is a break-even ACost. Okay? So to figure out your break-even ACost, you need to understand all of your financials for your specific product. So let's say, for example, that we're selling a t-shirt. So you have your product, a t-shirt. It's selling currently, or you plan to sell it on Amazon for $14.99. Let's say that the Amazon shop fees are $7.51. So that's includes the referral fee of 15% and the ship and pack fee that Amazon charges. So we get our total of $7.51. Maybe you have some warehousing fees. That could be Amazon or maybe another third-party warehouse that you have. You have your cost of goods sold. You have some logistics cost of shipping the product, whether that's from China all the way into Amazon FBA and so on and so forth. And that's going to get us our total unit cost. Okay, so once we have our total unit cost, we subtract the retail price of what we plan to sell the product for minus the cost to get our gross profit. Under a perfect scenario, this would be our gross profit with no advertising cost. Okay, and basically this gross margin percentage is our break-even ACost. Okay, so if we take our gross margin percentage with no advertising cost, we want to have our ACost number for our ad campaigns be better than our gross margin percentage here in order to drive profitable PPC campaigns. So in the example here that I have of sales of $750, and a spend of 1,000, our ACoS comes out to 75%, which means that we are above our gross margin and our campaigns are not as optimized or not as profitable as we would like, at least to generate a break-even point. Now, there are certain circumstances where you would, be okay with an ACoS at this high or at this spend level. However, I think for the most part, you might come out of the gate with a pretty high ACoS, and then you got to work to optimize those campaigns to at least get down to your break-even ACoS level, if not below. And then if we come over here, this is just simply how you would figure out your break-even ACoS. Let's say that you did have some advertising spend here. For example, if you put in $3 of advertising spend, your gross margin is going to change, and this is no longer accurate to your break-even ACoS. So what you'd want to do here is just subtract your other costs, not including advertising, minus your retail price to get your profit. Once again, your gross profit with no advertising spend, and then represent that as a margin profit over retail price to get your 37%, to then once again discover your break-even ACoS figure. The next metric that I want to talk about here is your ROAS, which is your return on ad spend. Taking a look at your return on ad spend, it's actually just the opposite of ACoS. So with ACoS, we take spend divided by sales. For return on ad spend, we do the exact opposite. So we take sales and divide it by spend to get a figure here represented as a decimal. This is just another way to, represent or quantify or help you evaluate the performance of your ads. This has been a widely used metric in other ad platforms such as Facebook, and it's just a different way to evaluate the same kind of information. It's just a different metric that does the same thing and helps you evaluate the performance of your ads. It's something that you're going to be needing to get used to, especially if you are brand new to Amazon pay-per-click. All right, so the next thing that we need to kind of talk about here are the different campaign types. We have sponsored products, sponsored brands, and display ads. For this video, I'm going to be mainly focused just on the sponsored products, because that's where I've seen kind of most of the success with my ads, and I think you kind of get most of your bang for your buck there. It's also the most beneficial. It's the basic kind of sponsored ad campaign that you got to be running for your products if you're running Amazon, PPC, or pay-per-click. Sponsored products, the sponsored product ads appear in the product listings or within the product detail pages. And I'm going to show you an example in just a second. Your sponsored brand ads show up at the top of the Amazon page, and then your display ads, Amazon says that it can be, displayed within the product detail page or across their third-party network, which basically means that they can serve your ads like off of Amazon on other places in attempt to drive traffic back to your listing and Amazon. So if we were to pull up Amazon here, the top is your sponsored brand section. This is when you would click on this ad right here, and you can tell that it's a sponsored ad by the way that it's designated right here with sponsored. If you click this, it goes to this seller's storefront or the listing of their specific products that they've set up, and that's a sponsored brand. You then have your sponsored product listings. Right here is one, and this is also designated by the little sign that says sponsored. And then if you continue to scroll down the page, you'll see other sponsored ads right here. and then so on and so forth throughout other pages. All you need to check out here or look for is the sponsored little sign right here. Now, if we click into an Amazon listing, there's also additional ads that are displayed here. So right down here, sponsored products related to this item. This is another area that we can control by using the sponsored products campaign type. After you select the sponsored products, this is where we're going to be focusing, or where I'm going to be focusing, this tutorial on today. You're going to be given two different types of targeting options, and both are very important, and we need to understand both. We're going to be setting up both to maximize the results of our sponsored products. The first one is automatic. Automatic is pretty straightforward. It means that Amazon's going to analyze our listing and serve our ad in auctions that it thinks that it will perform best in. So Amazon is going to take over control. They are going to run our ad, and it's pretty basic and pretty easy to set up. But because of that, we also have the least amount of control in optimizing the automatic campaign. So now let's move over to manual. When we go to set up a manual campaign, we identify the keywords and or products to target, and then we run our ad campaigns accordingly. So in this scenario, we need to choose those specific keywords, or we need to choose those specific products that we want to target and run our ad on. Under the manual targeting, there are two different sub choices that we can choose: keyword targeting and product targeting. Now, it's important to note that you need to have a very optimized listing. So what do I mean by that? You need to have an optimized title that's keyword rich. You need to have an optimized, bullet points, optimized product description, enhanced brand content if you're brand registered. You need to have the search terms filled out in the back end correctly. These are all things that help your product and your ad performance on Amazon. Now, it's especially important for the automatic campaigns. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You need to be absolutely having a fully optimized listing. However, the automatic campaign is going to be analyzing your listing and choosing the keywords that it thinks that it's best suited for and running your ad. So if you don't have an optimized listing, then your automatic campaign is just not going to work at all. But at the same time, if you don't have an optimized listing in general, you're going to have problems selling on Amazon anyways. So I'm just assuming that you're going to have a fully optimized listing. If you need more information or you're unsure about how to make an optimized listing, you can definitely check out my other videos where I go into detail about how to choose keywords and build an optimized listing. But you're going to want to make sure that you have it fully optimized before you go and set up these campaigns. The next thing, and this is a new thing that was introduced to Amazon recently, is the bidding strategy. There's 3 different types of bidding strategies. You have dynamic bids down only, you have dynamic bids up and down, and you have fixed bids. Now, pre-2019, everything was only dynamic bids down. Okay? Then they introduced the dynamic bids up and down and the fixed bids. Now, what does this mean? Well, like I said earlier, we're going to be selecting specific bids for a particular keyword or product that we want our ad to show up on. There is a bidding strategy that we also need to choose for that specific campaign, which will then trickle down into the individual bids that we set. Now, you have to remember that Amazon is an auction, okay? And when we set our bid and our bidding strategy, there is some flexibility in what that bid or what we will actually pay when somebody goes and clicks on our Amazon ad. And that is basically what we're selecting here with the bidding strategy. Now, if we select dynamic bids down only, and let's say that we set a bid of $1, it means that Amazon will only show our ad or place our ad into the auction when it knows that we can win the auction, or that click, for when it's $1 or less, and they will adjust our bid down only. Now, if we select dynamic bids up and down, whatever bid that we set, Amazon is allowed to then raise our bid by a max of 100% if they feel that there's likelihood of a sale. Now, they're also allowed to decrease the bid below $1 or below what you set. However, it's just giving Amazon a lot more flexibility in entering you into those auctions and entering you into, getting more impressions, clicks, and potential sales for your specific product. And lastly, fixed bids means that they do not adjust your bid at all. And if you set your bid for $1 for a specific keyword, they will always bid $1 or enter you in the auction at a dollar bid. Now, I've experimented with all three of these, and I think the best thing to do is to start off with dynamic bids down only, especially if you're just launching out your campaigns for the first time, or you're just launching a new product for the first time. I feel like the dynamic bids down removes that additional variable of having your bid go above your current set bid, and allows you to just optimize that campaign and kind of hone in on exactly what those keywords are that you want to be bidding on in general. And then later down the road, if you want, you can switch to dynamic bids up and down and see if that will then increase the performance of your campaigns after the campaign has, been established and after that you've optimized it. So since we're talking about setting up campaigns for the first time here for new products, my recommendation is to be going with the dynamic bids down only to get those campaigns set up and running, and then think about maybe changing the bidding strategy later down the road. The next thing that I want to talk here is about manual keyword targeting. So once we start to set up our manual campaign, we need to make decisions about specific targeting requirements for the seed keyword that we're going to be bidding on. So let's say, for example, that our seed keyword is t-shirt. We need to select a targeting when we're setting up the campaign. If we were to select broad, what that basically means is that Amazon will show our ad in a broad sense. So they know that this is our seed keyword, and they will display our ad in various of different situations that are searched on Amazon. And the first one is a potential, misspelling or a different spelling of the same seed keyword, in this case, t-shirt. The next one could be, putting a word before or after the seed keyword. So in this example, small t-shirt. The next would be putting a keyword actually in between our seed keyword. So in this example, a T small shirt. Or in the last example here, just switching out one of the words or adding in another word that they find relevant, such as shirt for men. So in the broad targeting selection here, we're giving Amazon the widest kind of breadth or scope ability for them to kind of display our ad, but having it still be relevant to our initial seed keyword. So this is kind of the broadest way that we can advertise our seed keyword. Next, going down the line would be phrase. So this is a little bit more refinement around the control of what and how our ad is displayed, dependent on our keyword. Under the phrase targeting, our seed keyword is left intact. Okay, and either one word or two words or various words are added to the front or back of the particular seed keyword. Here are a couple of examples: large t-shirt, t-shirt XL, t-shirt for men. So these are just a couple of phrases that our ad could be potentially displayed when a customer searches the various search term on Amazon. And last but not least, exact. This is going to give the most amount of refinement or specific requirement, telling Amazon we only want our ad to show when the customer searches our specific keyword, with the exception of plurals and slight other variations. So it's important to understand the keyword targeting, because this is how Amazon will end up displaying your ad when a customer goes and searches for the specific search term on Amazon, dependent on the seed keyword that you are bidding on. So it's important to know how the targeting works, and in the setup, which targeting to use for the specific campaign. The next thing to understand here is the setup structure. So under this new and improved kind of PPC, Amazon pay-per-click setup structure, we're going to be setting up 3 campaigns. The first campaign is the automatic campaign. The second campaign is our research campaign. And the third campaign is going to be our performance campaign. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. I'm going to be showing you how to set up these campaigns in just a second, namely the automatic and the research, because the performance campaign is going to be set up a little bit later when we start to optimize the campaigns themselves. However, this is kind of the way that you want to think about the structure. So let's say that we're selling a t-shirt. We're going to set up one campaign that's an automatic campaign. We're going to set up another campaign that's our t-shirt research campaign. And then eventually we're going to be setting up our t-shirt performance campaign. Within the campaigns themselves, we're going to need to be making a couple of other choices around specific keyword targeting. And I'll be getting into that in just a little bit later. But your research campaign is going to be holding your broad match keywords, and then your performance campaign is going to be holding your exact match keywords or search terms. You can reference this slide later again, but this is just basically the setup structure, and this is going to make more sense in just a little bit. The next thing to talk about, and this is going to go into a little bit on theory, and this is definitely a little bit more of an advanced kind of topic here that I'm going to have to cover in the optimization and later videos that I put out. However, it's important to start to understand it now because it helps you get a better grasp on the setup structure and how we're going to go about optimizing our campaigns in the future. So what this theory kind of rests on here is something called search term isolation. Okay, and like I just said in the previous slide, we're going to be setting up 3 campaigns, and that's your 3 campaigns right here. You have your automatic, your research, and your performance campaign. And the idea or the premise behind search term isolation is that we're going to be moving search terms from campaign to campaign with the goal of ending up with a single performance campaign with all of our best search terms, converting search terms, or keywords in a single campaign. Okay, and that's kind of the theory behind search term isolation. And this graph here just briefly describes kind of the overview behind just how to accomplish this. And it's basically a process of moving those converting search terms from campaign until they get to the performance. And then meanwhile, each time you move them from campaign, you're also negativing them in the respective campaigns that they're coming from, in result to create an isolation of that specific search term. Now, this might seem a little overwhelming to you initially. However, like I said, save this page, come back to this video, use this as a reference, and little by little, each time, once I get into more optimization techniques, and once we start working through different scenarios, this is going to make a lot more sense to you as we just start to work through it. So don't get overwhelmed if you're looking at this for the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, what is Lamar talking about here? Like, I promise you, this will all be much clearer as time goes on, but we're just talking about setting up. And I want to show you this so that you have the end in mind, and so that you're not just blindly doing stuff, so that there is, thought and theory behind this strategy. Now let's talk about automatic PPC campaigns, or setting up the automatic PPC campaign. The first thing to understand, and I already did touch on this, is that Amazon needs to understand your product, which means that you have to have your title, your keywords, your back-end keywords, your product description, the bullet points, your proper product category. You need to have a fully optimized listing in order for Amazon to understand your product, so that your automatic campaigns can run efficiently and effectively for you, so that you can basically mine for keywords so that we can use them in our performance campaign. So the first thing, just jumping back into the setup structure, is that we're going to set up our automatic campaign, and we're going to call that t-shirt auto. All right, so you're going to come over to Amazon here and come into your all campaigns manager and go to create a campaign. Next, you want to select sponsored products. Since we're going to be setting up the automatic campaign here, what we're going to want to title our campaign is just following the structure that I set out earlier. So it'd be t-shirt auto. You're going to want to set the daily budget. I normally set the daily budget to, like I said earlier, $30, maybe $50 a day. It's usually a good place to start it, but it's really going to depend on the product and your product category. But we'll just set it for $30 now. We want to keep it at automatic targeting, and then we're going to come down to the campaign bidding strategy. Under the campaign bidding strategy, we want to select dynamic bids down only, like I previously described. Then we're going to add a ad group name. You can pretty much just say auto or leave this as is, but I'll just name it auto. Next, you want to come down and add the products that you want to be advertising in the campaign itself. I've already added the product over here, but if you haven't, or your product's not listed here, you can simply search. And then you want to set a automatic targeting default bid, and you do that down here. Now you can see that there's a suggested bid anywhere between $1.18 to $3.73, and the suggested bid is $2.41. Most of the times I will probably select that suggested bid, especially for the automatic targeting. Now this is pretty high, and I might come in a little bit lower, like maybe $1.75 at the lower end of this suggested bid. Run it for like a day or two, see how many impressions and clicks I'm getting, and if I'm not getting enough, to meet that minimum threshold requirement that I spoke about earlier, I'll come back in here and up the bid a little bit to just increase my exposure, get some more impressions, shown to the ad itself. But you can go off of the suggested bid, or you can go off a little bit lower, and then every couple of days just inch it up 20-25 cents until your ad is displaying appropriately and you're satisfied with the results that you're seeing there as far as impressions and clicks goes. So I'll probably change this to 175. You'll see a couple of other options down at the bottom here for negative keyword targeting and negative product targeting. I initially will just leave these blank. I'm not going to put anything in those fields there because we really haven't let the campaigns build up any history, and we don't have any data to base any of decisions off of that would allow us to start to negative keywords or negative, various products that we might want to do later on to kind of improve the performance of this automatic campaign. However, like I said, those are going to be things that we go and deal with later as we start to optimize. So basically at this point, your automatic campaign is set up, and you come down here and click Launch Campaign. And that's pretty much how you're going to set up your automatic campaign, and that's going to kickstart that product listing, start getting those impressions and clicks and sales generated to your new product listing. Now let's talk about manual PPC. This is basically the same process, a couple of different little nuances here, but as far as setup goes here, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Just a quick refresher here on the setup structure. We're going to be launching our campaign 2, and we're going to be considering that our research campaign. And you can kind of think of this campaign as if we're fishing for keywords. We're looking for those converting, search terms that customers are searching on Amazon and converting on our product listing for. And we're kind of combing through Amazon. We're going to help guide Amazon though as we're fishing. And this is why this research campaign is a little bit more refined than the automatic campaign, because sometimes the automatic campaign does pick up on some keywords that just aren't relevant or aren't just going to be performing very well as far as combing through search terms, of customers searching on Amazon and, converting on a product for. So under the research campaign here, we're just going to be doing a little bit more refinement around that fishing kind of technique, and we're just going to be looking for converting search terms. Before we hop over into Amazon and I show you how to set this up, we are going to need a couple of seed keywords for our, for the broad campaign that we're going to set up here. So if you had a keyword bank that I've previously talked about, you can watch some of my other videos on YouTube. I'll link up to that on creating just a keyword bank. You want to be looking at the keywords that are very relevant or hyper relevant to your product listing, and you also want to look at the volume estimates for those specific search terms or keywords. Now the reason for that is we need to be inputting at least 5 seed keywords here that's going to help guide our campaign, and like I said, we're going to help guide Amazon in fishing for converting search terms on our product listing, and we're going to help guide Amazon by providing them 5 seed keywords, and then based off of those seed keywords, Amazon will start to display our ad. And if you remember this manual keyword targeting kind of graph here that I built, we are going to be building our campaign based off of the broad match. So if we input a seed keyword of t-shirt, we can expect our ad to show on all broad targeting related search terms, such as shown right here. So the idea here is that we want to put in, 5 to 10 seed keywords that's going to cover our product and help Amazon or guide Amazon in showing our ads in a more directed way according to various search terms that are being performed on Amazon. So it's important to note that we do want to avoid keywords that are often, considered that would be too generic. So a good example of this would be just shirt, right? If we just searched shirt on Amazon, it's likely that a whole wide variety of various of different shirts, everything from polos to t-shirts to, maybe blouses to long sleeve shirts, maybe even some jackets. You're going to get a wide variety of shirts kind of being displayed on that page. Generally speaking, it's going to be hard for you to, have a well-performing product right out of the gate in those more generic, very high level search term kind of terms or search terms. So it's better to be like a little bit more specific or more relevant to the actual product that you are selling. Likewise, we do want to avoid long tail keywords. So long tail would be white t-shirts for men XL, right? That's often just, it's too specific. It doesn't allow Amazon to work well with its broad targeting, keyword rules around a long tail keyword. So we generally speaking want to keep our seed keywords to either 1, 2, or 3 specific terms so that we can help Amazon, guide Amazon, and allow it to perform the broad targeting as best as it can. So let's go over to Amazon and show you how to do this. So in the All Campaigns Manager, we want to create campaign. We want to select the sponsored products campaign type. So we're going to name this campaign just like we named the other one. It's going to be T-shirt research. Daily budget will set to $30. We're going to change the targeting to manual targeting. We're going to adjust the campaign bidding strategy to dynamic bids down only. We're going to set up the ad group name as broad, because this will just help us remember that this will be our, broad keyword targeting campaign ad group. You want to scroll down to products and add in your product that we're going to be advertising. Below that, you'll see targeting, and you want to make sure that you select keyword targeting because we are going to be, targeting specific keywords. Next, you want to scroll down and go to the keyword targeting. So right here, you can already start to see a bunch of keywords that Amazon is recommending. And they're just recommending this based off of them scanning the listing, similar to like the auto campaign, but they're scanning the listing and they're making, keyword recommendations. And then they have the suggested bids here over on the right. Now, you can go down and select maybe a couple of these. You're going to probably see a parallel between, the keywords listed here and the keyword research that you've done. The other thing that you can do is just go over here and enter in a list of specific keywords. Let's say that you already had your keyword bank created and you already had your 5 to 10 keywords that you knew that you wanted to start off targeting. You could come over here and enter the list. All right, so I just came over here to the enter list and I just entered in, 5 seed keywords. I'm going to uncheck the match type because I want to only bid on broad search terms. And I'm going to come over down here and hit add keywords. All right, so here, same thing kind of applies. Amazon has automatically put in a suggested bid. I'll probably leave this as, it's in between kind of the low end and the high end for the suggested bid. And then if I'm not getting enough impressions or I'm not happy with the performance of this campaign in a day or two, then I'll come back and maybe increase each of these bids by 25 cents. But you're going to start to get clicks, impressions on this campaign pretty quickly. So you'll know whether your bid is high enough or not. Now, this is pretty much, enough seed keywords to get this campaign off and running. Now, following my optimization strategies that I briefly touched on earlier, we're going to be adding more keywords into this campaign when we go to optimized. So I really wouldn't be too concerned if you're thinking that this is not enough keywords right now. Don't worry about that, because as we start to optimize these campaigns, we're going to be adding in more keywords later on. The most important part is that we want to make sure that we're getting enough impressions and then we're reaching, that minimum click threshold that I also talked about early enough. And we should be able to accomplish that with, 5 to 10 seed keywords and appropriate bids. And that's pretty much how you guys are going to set up Amazon pay-per-click campaigns. Like I said, I hope you got value out of this video. Please give me a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more Amazon PPC videos in the near future, all about optimization, keywords. I've got already a couple of really great videos that you can check out, and I'll link them up somewhere around here in the description below or on this, on this end screen here. I hope that you got value out of today's video, and I look forward to seeing you guys on other videos in the future. Get out there and crush it on Amazon.